He's so right. I love this. Thank you for all the work
Thank
you guys do at New Rockstars,
all the team at New
especially you, Eric.
Rockstars.
Damn. Thank you. I could cry. What is happening there, Reject Nation? We are back at it again with continuing the tradition of New Rockstars Loki Episode 5. They are claiming every Easter egg found. And this was one of those episodes when we were doing a reaction of, I'm not even going to really try. You could just tell from the shot when they first go to the Void Planet. Oh, God, I bet there's like a gazillion Easter eggs
Made
here.
to pause and scrub.
Yeah. Watch Blindwave's reaction. I'm like, how the heck do you catch so much when you're reacting? That is so crazy. Anyway, I'm very much excited for this. Can't wait to see because you know this is an Easter egg galore episode. Here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of Loki Episode 5, Journey into Mystery. Of course, a nod to the original comic run that introduced Loki and Thor, fitting for an episode filled with Easter eggs to Marvel Comics, but also enough hatches, Egyptian icons, and smoke monsters to haunt me from the series that got me into this kind of stuff, Lost, which hopefully Loki will do better than with expectation management.
All right. He's already got a great point because there's only one more episode left. And I'm like, there's so much I got to wrap up. I know you got a season 2 coming, but I still feel like for your complete story of season 1, there's a lot you got to wrap up already.
We gotta meet the wizard.
Hey, let's break down this episode frame by frame for all the interesting hidden details, because this episode's got a lot of them. Hey, and a reminder that you can get our Loki-inspired merch at newrockstarsmerch.com, like this Loki Out of Time shirt, which directly supports us here at New Rockstars.
I love it.
We open on the TVA timeline screen with
Blink and you'll miss
location
it.
showing Vormir, the planet that held the Soul Stone Infinity War in Endgame, Seoul, South Korea, Zimbabwe, and Oak Island, Nova Scotia. Maybe a nod to the Oak Island treasure, the theorized Knights Templar treasure believed to be buried on Oak Island that people think might contain the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, Shakespearean manuscripts.
Oh, that's
and the
cool.
camera nauseatingly flips upside down and then rotates as the chronomonitor room back wall just dissolves into the Timekeeper elevator doors, which then dissolve into their chamber, where we now reverse the rotation so the frame rotates counterclockwise toward the severed Timekeeper android head. A true journey into mystery, this opening shot is, reflecting how each of these settings have been in their own ways smokescreens for some deeper truth beyond them. Much like how the final shot of this episode is yet another literal smokescreen, peeling back to reveal some other truth beyond, but even that might contain another secret twist.
The Eye of Sauron.
Notice how the series keeps focusing on that one central Timekeeper more than the other two, almost as if that android could be a primary one, specifically designed in its creator's image. We enter the Void, the TVA's supposed dumping ground. We pass the Lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Now this void also contains the Pyramids of Giza, another ancient wonder, and with the Hanging Gardens of Babylon showing up in Eternals, that makes 3 out of 7 wonders in the MCU this year. This lighthouse also bookends the lit tower, which maybe is a lighthouse in the final shot, and trailer footage tells us that that setting has a library inside it, perhaps another source of illumination. Next on the left is Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum. I would not want to live in reality with those guys pruned from it. Maybe there was some past conflict between the Sorcerer Supreme and the TVA over who really should monitor.
Oh, I got nipple chills from that, man.
Written on it is not Avengers or A or Stark, but Kang, as in Kang Enterprises, the company Tony Stark sold this tower to in the comics. It's run by Mr. Gryphon, revealed to be Kang the Conqueror. The latest clue that Kang could be our man behind the curtain after all.
Damn it.
I mean, this is more and more and more clues.
I'm at a crossroads here because originally I've been very sold on King the Conqueror. Recently, I'm like, no, it's probably King Loki for all the reasons we said in our reaction that I won't reiterate here. Now I'm like, I really don't know what it's gonna be now. I really don't know what it's gonna be.
I'm gonna stick to King Loki.
So am
but
I.
I'm gonna say that these Kang illusions are all very intentional because I mean he's right around the corner.
Yeah.
So like he's gonna be here, and even if these are long play Easter eggs, they're real.
Maybe King Loki or whoever we're gonna really see somehow under the thumb of King the Conqueror. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just, oh God. Already, there's so many.
To the left is another building that, if you look closely at the top of it, is labeled Ken Park 2018, it looks like, suggesting this whole void could be made up of pieces of histories that Kang has conquered, similar to his kingdom of Chronopolis. 2018 would be right after the snap, which could be when Kang Enterprises moved into that tower. Notice how trotting around on the ledges are these indigo bird things with their spherical heads that hover over their necks. They run on 5 little hot dog feet all over the void. No clue what these are, but this episode was written by Rick and Morty writer Tom Kaufman, who wrote the season 3 Fruipyland Clone Beth episode with a similarly bonkers pocket reality filled with goofy creatures and an immature exile who crowns himself king. And then finally some answers.
What is this place? Where are you? Who are you? This is the void. That's Alioth. We're his lunch. Come on.
Alioth is a trans-temporal entity from the Marvel Comics who takes the form of this kind of carnivorous smoke. He rivals the time empire of Kang the Conqueror, and Kang uses the entity of Tempest to trap Alioth in eternal battle so that Kang can expand his rule. And it just so happens that Ravonna Renslayer is also part of this 1993 storyline. So I'm wondering if in this case, Kang may be using Alioth as a guard dog as he works behind him to assemble his kingdom. Renslayer explains,
More clues.
In the branched reality, it's impossible to destroy all its matter. Basically, the branch timeline isn't reset. It's transferred to a void at the end of time.
Yeah, Renslayer is appealing to the law of conservation of mass that says matter can neither be destroyed nor created, only transferred. Not that the laws of physics really matter that much on the show, but Renslayer claims to not know who created the TVA, and based on her later scene with B-15, she truly could be a memory-wiped variant, same as the rest of them. But this being Renslayer, the primary love interest in the comics to Kang, I wonder if she could be a teacher or an admin from that FDR high school that caught the eye of a young Nathaniel Richards, maybe even a teacher that he had a crush on, and once he grew up to be Kang, he went back in time to trap her in this phony temporal law office so that she would catch the bullies and class clowns who threatened his utopia.
That would be such a messed up, abusive relationship, but maybe she's also toxically drawn to it. That's why she's still like, no, we need to keep the TVA in order, even though I don't fully understand, like a victim.
Yeah, she can't leave, and
circumstances.
she's like so attached to this cycle of toxicity that somehow she just like knows how to operate within it and derives a weird sort of power from it.
But more importantly, I love the idea of Kang the Conqueror being a high school student at Franklin D. Roosevelt High School.
Having a crush so bad on a teacher that it creates a time organization around her.
You.
Back in the void is a 3-masted wooden ship with lifeboats on the deck. This could be the Santa Maria, Columbus's flagship that struck a reef off the coast of present-day Haiti, sunk, and its wreckage was never recovered. They pass this huge flying saucer, another aerial phenomenon that could have just been spotted on Earth and then pruned, and then they pass what looks like Red Skull's spinning rocket from the first Captain America film, which was based on the real-life German Focke-Wulf Tribeflugel fighter plane built during the later years of World War II. And then this row of giant bald head statues partially buried in the ground. It kind of looks like the big head sculpture in Canmore in Alberta, Canada, the home province of that son of a bitch. James Howlett, aka Logan, aka Wolverine. Who do you think I was gonna say?
Go f yourself.
So these Loki variants are classic Loki, Richard E. Grant dressed in Loki's classic attire from the early comics. Boastful Loki, whose clothes look like the Dark Reign era of Loki. He wields a Mjolnir made from a piston and a piece of a train rail. Kid Loki, who carries Loki's Leviathan sword from Norse mythology, and Alligator Loki. And Loki asks them,
But if you thought of using a 10-pad?
Oh, the one thing that could easily get us out of here. Yes! They're all over the place, right, guys?
Fine.
Loki Gator blinks, as gators do side by side, but it plays like an eye roll here.
What I really love about the fact that his Mjolnir is made out of that is because he has a later speech where he's like, I beat Thor and I took the Infinity Stones, you know, just adding to the fraud persona that boastful Loki really is.
Misplaced hubris.
Yes.
And they pass a big pile of lunch trays, which must be ones from the TVA cafeteria. Like rather than cleaning and reusing them, they just prune them all.
Or
So wasteful.
Spider-Man's
You know
high
these are
school.
from the
That's right,
TVA
all the
because
high
among
schools.
The pile are also boxes of Boku fruit juice.
It's definitely
Kid
for the
Loki
TVA.
reveals what his next event was.
I killed Thor.
Yikes! Perhaps Kid Loki's Thor died when that trick that Thor mentioned in Ragnarok led him to bleed out.
This one time when we were children, he transformed himself into a snake, and he knows that I love snakes. So I went to pick up the snake to admire it, and he transformed back into himself, and he was like, yeah, it's me! And he stabbed me. We were 8 at the time.
Then there is a giant helmet of the Ant-Man villain Yellow Jacket, last seen with his damaged resizer shrinking him down to nothing, but perhaps still alive somewhere in the quantum realm. This recalls the shocking imagery of Ant-Man's giant corpse strewn across the post-apocalyptic landscape in Old Man Logan. And then, yes, the Thanoscopter, one of the goofiest toy-pushing moments from Marvel Comics, with Endgame lightly referencing it when Thanos rotated his sword, now presumably pruned from some alternate timeline. Though this could mean some alternate timeline Thanos was pruned here and then maybe consumed by Alioth. There's also a huge warhead, maybe some stolen nuke that, were it not pruned, would have started a global nuclear war. And then they enter this hatch that we get a better look of later, with text written on it in Hindi. In the circle, that translates to A, and then the yellow writing on the right, Pravesh Dwar, entry door, and then to the green on the left, Savdahan Vishela, careful, poisonous. So maybe this is a hatch for an Indian nuclear facility or their nuclear submarine, the INS Arihant.
Or could it have been like, when there's like a nuclear war, you know how like Blast from the Past, Christopher Walken puts his whole family down underneath?
Yeah, they just have like a fallout shelter.
That's what it's
called. They're like prepared for any situation, and they just happen to get one that was manufactured in India.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. See, Easter egg solved.
Added nothing.
Means nothing.
Then a great floorboard gag sinking down to show us what is buried underneath. More lunch trays and silverware, a buried Mjolnir, and trying to get to it, a Thor frog in a jar marked 365, a nod to Throg in Thor comic issue 365. I love how you can hear him grunting as he throws himself against the glass, just like how Thor did in his cell in the first Avengers movie.
Oh, cool.
Their hideout is a customized bowling alley, looks like circus lanes written on the back wall there. Kid Loki has made a throne out of what looks like a Santa land from a mall, or did Santa get pruned too? There's a space mission pinball game, and then a Polybius arcade box. This was an urban legend from the Portland area in the 80s and 90s that claimed the government could have rigged games called Polybius for hypnosis and mind control uses. Renslayer and Miss Minutes worked together to try to stall Sylvie.
Find Loki, find the man behind the curtain, and kill him.
Yes, the man behind the curtain, of course, a direct nod to the Wizard of Oz, which this TVA mystery creator is clearly based on.
I would love it if Kang the Conqueror really is just that. Just like the old guy. You just see Jonathan Majors, this old dude.
yeah, they got an old age makeup.
Oh, what are you doing here?
Go back to the TVA.
Zordon head, I am Kang the Conqueror.
Hold on, let me get my voice modulator on.
But the way Miss Minutes picks up these non-verbal cues from Renslayer is just another reason to think something more will be revealed about this character. But back in the bowling alley, they listened to the Mike Flowers Pops cover of Wonderwall, an intentionally hokey cover of that annoyingly sincere song by Oasis that one asshole at the party in college who brought his guitar has to play. They drink Roxy wine. ROXX probably got it from Rock's Cart. Classic Loki and Boastful Loki both have huge chalices, but they gave Loki a small one. Kid Loki sips High C Ecto Cooler. Between them, there's
No way, I did not pick up on that at all.
Wondering what that
Alligator
was.
Loki is a book, The Mystery and Lore of Monsters by C.J.S. Thompson, a rare 1930s survey of human deformities and monster lore.
Whoa.
Alligator Loki calls
Nice.
bullshit on Boastful Loki's tale of defeating Cap and Iron Man getting all the Infinity Stones.
Well, at least my Nexus event wasn't eating the wrong neighbor's cat.
Alligator Loki goes right for his hand, just like how he later Captain Hook's President Loki. And Classic Loki explains how he survived Thanos.
I cast a projection of myself, so real, even the mad Titan believed it. Then hid as inanimate debris.
This is crazy. The writers apparently worked into Classic Loki's backstory a fan theory that channels like ours discussed back in 2018. That during Loki's death scene in Infinity War, a floating piece of debris in the background looked like Loki with his big curved horns, making us think that Loki might have faked his death at the time. A theory that I was forced to apologize for. I just look forward to the 2024 Ghost Rider movie where Mephisto says Agatha's Devils in the Details comeback was a reference to him. Classic Loki says he...
Oh, wait, what if that Loki did survive and that's who's running the... No, that's stupid. I don't know.
You mean the one from from
Infinity War is really king.
And he's running the TV.
That was dumb. That was not a need to pause the video.
Well, that would be a perfect place to hide the clue, though, because he's got shown that in his memory reel of like, see, you're supposed to die this way. Maybe that's part of the secret.
Thanks for trying to encourage me.
Yes, Andy, but
I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, I remember when we were watching, like, isn't that a fan theory that was going around?
Yeah,
that's what he did. And I think it's really cool just how, out of all the shows so far from like the Marvel Disney Plus stuff, they seem to be the most tuned in to when it comes to Easter eggs and such like that. And this is just a prime example. More than just a production design thing, it's actually in the text of the screenplay that they did that. That's nuts.
Classic Loki says he
Landed on a remote planet and stayed there in isolation, in solitude, for a long time.
Yeah, he says he got lonely and tried to leave and then he got arrested. I wonder if his lonely planet could have been Vormir, referenced earlier this episode, but also back in episode 2, where the screen listed a Nexus event on Vormir in the year 2301, which would have been hundreds of years after that moment with Thanos. But I do have another theory on this guy, just more on him later. They meet a new Loki gang led by President Loki, who's a reference to the 2016 Vote Loki miniseries in which Loki runs for president, pledging that he's not afraid to lie to people. But then there's this other bearded one who was the same one who was labeled variant L8914 back in episode 2. Another one has a helmet made of silverware, probably gotten from all those TVA lunch trays, and then another with a helmet with a bike handlebar. Sylvie, who pruned herself earlier, awakens on a school bus and enchants a branch of Alioth, getting a quick vision of what it's guarding. The rock ring suspended at the end of time that I pointed out in trailer footage with a castle and a lit tower. Now this castle does look a bit like a darker version of Neuschwanstein in Germany, which is an inspiration to many fantasy castles. Mobius drives up in a Skinny's pizza car to save her. Notice how the plate number is GRNW1D, so maybe like Grunwald, maybe a nod to Mark Grunwald, the Marvel Comics writer of many of these influencing titles that in the comics the TVA staff was all designed to look like, specifically Mobius. Actually might have cameoed in the courtroom banner in the show. Behind him is a suspension bridge that looks like a cross between the towers of San Francisco's two major bridges, both Golden Gate Bridge and Oakland Bay Bridge.
Wasn't there an X-Men fight on that bridge?
Yeah, right?
Is it X-Men 3? Yeah.
There's a big old showdown on the bridge.
That's got to be a nod to that, right?
Yeah, the best X-Men movie.
Give us
It's time to honor Brett Ratner's X-Men, all right?
I know it's not. Or it could be Ant-Man related.
Also San Francisco.
Shang-Chi.
Also San Francisco. It could be Big Hero 6.
It could be the movie Milk, based off Harvey Milk's.
It could be Bullet with Steve McQueen.
And Oakland, that's where we left off with Black Panther.
Exactly. Every Ryan Coogler movie is up there.
And then there's also a sign for Wrightville Theater, screening the movie Oswald and the Martian. Now a different similar town, Wrightsville, Pennsylvania, showed up in a Nexus event in 1832, but this movie might be referring to Mars, a 1930s short animated by Walt Disney for Universal starring Oswald the Rabbit. Mobius drives past the pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx, but notice the Sphinx has not lost its nose. Perhaps that's why it was pruned, because it was supposed to lose it. And yes, a reminder that the pyramids of the Sphinx do show up as trophies in Kang's Chronopolis if that ends up being the case. But to the right is a structure that before I had thought was Stonehenge, but in this clearer footage, I don't think it's Stonehenge. It has these Greek columns to it. So I don't know, maybe some ancient Greek structure, maybe the White House after it was burned down in 1812. I don't know, I've been going on a historical kick while I'm watching this show. The Loki's all bigger.
You led the wolves to our door.
We prefer snakes to wolves.
I've eaten both. They die just the same.
Snakes and
the
wolves
one
could
reference
be
I
nods
caught.
to Jormungandr, the great snake, and Fenrir, the wolf, or Fenris in the MCU, both of whom are Loki's offspring in Norse mythology.
Yeah, I thought it was actually linked to how that line that they played earlier in this video of like he transferred himself to a snake and Thor loves snakes, so I thought his family loves snakes.
Yeah, and they fight with Fenris and Ragnarok. So it's your thing's an Easter egg too. Your thing's an Easter egg also. You're Eric.
This is so much cooler, man. It's a picture of this like really imposing, sinister snake.
We gotta read more Norse mythology.
I know.
Alligator Loki bites off President Loki's hand, causing him to let out a very long scream if you listen to it all the way through. Classic Loki gets them out of there by conjuring up duplicates of themselves, with duplicate Kid Loki tossing Alligator Loki on one of the others, also known as Thor and Loki's Get Help maneuver.
Get help! Help him!
Yeah, nice. Nice.
The USS Eldridge drops into the void. This was a real-life World War II era ship that was believed to be part of a debunked conspiracy theory known as the Philadelphia experiment, in which people claimed it was given an invisibility shield and it vanished. The teams regroup at a barber shop where they roast one of those bird creature things. And interestingly, Mobius didn't remember there ever being an alligator Loki. Perhaps another clue that there just could be multiple Mobiuses. Meanwhile, Loki and Sylvie chat outside.
It's cold.
Frost giants aren't supposed to get cold, so Loki must have been conjuring up that blanket just so they could snuggle. Smooth.
That's a great point.
It is a good point.
I think one thing that I wish this show kind of honed in on a little bit more is the fact that he is a frost giant. I'll be honest, I forget that. I need to be reminded of that from time to time. Like, oh yeah, it's constantly like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's maybe season 2. It just could be Loki going back home.
Yeah, I don't really know what they need to do story-wise to remind us that he's a frost giant. But I'm like,
I mean, they even show frost giant Loki in the first or second episode, and I forgot.
One of the birds climbs this tank. This is the Chrysler TV-8, a nuclear-powered tank that was designed by Chrysler in the 50s to be deployed against the USSR, but thank God was never actually put into production. But maybe this came from a timeline where this did actually happen, probably with horrible results. In the distance,
could you tell?
Tell me what to read, Eric.
Ronan's ship from the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Whoa! What? What?
It's just so much.
Really?
It's just so much.
How did I not? Oh my God, he's 100% right.
Yeah, once you see the ship floating, you're like, that's exactly it.
Oh,
I thought it was just like a big old ship or a wall. Like
I did not. Oh, you're right. That's 1,000% right. Damn. That's an Easter egg I wish I should have caught on. That's one I should have caught on to.
You suck.
There also looks like an oil platform. Maybe this is the Deepwater Horizon. So Loki asks Mobius,
what will you do at the TVA? Burn it to the ground. Thanks for the spark.
A callback to Loki's promise all the way back in the first episode.
I'm gonna burn this place to the ground.
Now, on this landscape, you can see the head of the Living Tribunal. That's the three-headed cosmic judge of all the multiverse. I don't know what timeline its head would have come from, but I do like how Loki and Sylvie stand in front of it as they face Alioth, almost as if they are now on the side of justice in this noble fight. And a little later in the scene, there is in the background a crashed Hellicarrier with a Hydra logo. Perhaps this came from a reality where Project Insight was successful and Hydra no longer needed to hide itself.
Oh, dang.
This is the first time I have to keep pausing to rewind to look at it. Just to look at it. Damn.
And the Hydra logo.
Really? You have to like slow down. I mean, that's a blink and you'll miss it. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys caught it, but damn, I did not catch that.
Well, and especially the Hydra logo, you gotta like up the brightness and like really look to find that.
He's so right. I love this. Thank you for all the work
Thank you,
you guys do at your Rockstars,
all the team
especially
at
you, Eric.
Rockstars.
Damn. Thank you. I could cry.
Finale. We'll cry.
We'll cry at the new Rockstars breakdown finale. Not during the actual finale, but we'll cry during the breakdown. Look at all the hard work he's done.
Loki waves his flaming sword to try to distract Alioth, but it does not work, making him remember what classic Loki said earlier.
The blades are worthless in the face of a Loki sorcery. They stunt our magical potential.
So Loki realizes he must drop this sword and join Sylvie in her enchantment. But they get some major backup from the old man.
What a fantastic moment. What a glorious moment.
Natalie Holt's music is incredible. She actually said she used a 32-voice choir for all the vocals here, and you might have noticed right in this moment, it samples Richard Wagner's Norse-inspired Ride of the Valkyries. Dun, 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 dun. He casts this epic illusion of Asgard, which at first looks a lot like the Emerald City in the green light there, but I love its detail down to those statues of warriors past on all the edifices. But the illusion fades, and classic Loki gets consumed. Though, notice how he did have some green sorcery glowing in his hands, but then just lets it fade the final second as he laughs with glee, making me wonder if this guy could have pulled an Obi-Wan and let himself get taken here so that he could respawn in a new form. Hold that thought, I'm almost there. Because Sylvie and Loki enchant Alioth and open the gate to Beyond the Void, revealing the castle with the lit tower on the rock ring at the end of time. Who will they find there? Well, yes, this series has done a lot to point to Kang the Conqueror, because sure, sure, why else would you include Ravonna, Renslayer, and Alioth, and Kang Enterprises, and all these Chronopolis parallels just to completely avoid the upcoming MCU big bad that connects these dots? But hey, we've been led astray before, right? So you could make the case for other possible big bads, like Doctor Doom, maybe an evilist Loki, maybe some version of Miss Minutes, or simply, what if we were to just follow the theme of the man behind the curtain, a Weasley old man, the creator of the Timekeepers in the comics, he who remains. And I will leave you with this, folks. Notice as they approach that castle, a piece of debris floats up. Now, at first I thought this could have been a ship, but even if it is just debris, classic Loki just confirmed that floating debris can sometimes be a Loki in disguise after he fakes his death. Classic Loki, for some reason, passed up Mobius's offer to leave the void, and then he stayed and showed off an insane level of sorcery. Sorcery that he spent who knows how long refining, and then could have faked his death. In that moment, he lured these variants to his castle, crazy. Where he reveals himself as he who remains, an original Loki who survived and built the Timekeepers and the TVA in order to control the multiverse with this ultimate illusion. Whether or not you believe that, or if you think it's Kang or someone else, you gotta admit, that truly would be a classic Loki move.
That would be a bomb Loki move. That would be a
ass move.
And then if you have Richard E. Grant in the role as well,
yeah,
you know Richard E. Grant could pull off both what we saw in episode 5 and then do the big reveal. But what about the shot though with the King Loki? That's not it.
Well, I mean, maybe that could be in a further illusion. Maybe even like if we want to go with this theory, maybe Richard E. Grant could cast a projection or some kind of illusion of that Loki or something. I don't know. Like, part of me does think that maybe it is a different Loki, and maybe this is just his way of getting in there. But I don't know. It would be really, really fascinating if it was just. It's classic Loki.
It lines up very well with how so much of this is referential to Wizard of Oz.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not to go too off the weeds, but, you know, he is in this, like, old school kind of classic looking, you know.
And he is old.
And he's old. You know, it's very Wizard of Oz-y already just with his appearance.
If you slow it down, it looks like he's already, like, his cape is turning into kind of like particles before Alioth even comes towards him.
Yeah, maybe this is just his secret entrance way to, like, get him right where he needs to go. He doesn't have to travel and, like, do all the, like, getting onto the space ring. He just goes right up to the tower.
That's a crazy theory, Voss, and I think you're onto something.
Comment down below with your theories as we head into this finale episode. And another reminder to support this channel by checking out our merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EAVoss. Follow and subscribe to New Rockstars. I'll see you next week for the finale. Thanks for watching. Bye.
We'll be here. Thank you, Mr. Voss.
Thank you.
That was brilliant. That truly was Easter eggs galore.
These
My
are enriching.
God.
These enhance
so
the
much.
experience.
Guys, subscribe to New Freaking Rockstars if you haven't done so already. You can subscribe to us. Keep a lookout for our reaction to the finale. And of course, we'll be checking out Mr. Voss's as well. Hit that like button. Leave your theories down below. And hey, let's do a
Chris Whamoff thought of you during this episode, because you know what? Loki, part of the journey is about this guy becoming a better person, a more attuned and involved person in the lives of the people around him. And if there's anybody at our Patreon who embodies that and then some, Chris, it's you. You're one of the most charitable, giving, wonderful people who follows it. Like, I almost feel like your contribution comes with an extra layer of love just simply because of what a good human being you are. So I hope you're doing well. Keep on keeping on in the free world, doing good stuff, and we'll catch you next time. Much love, buddy. Hope you're good.